Hey guys, this is our second persuasive essay video, and in this video we will be discussing our appeals to reason. So you might remember from the first video, we talked about the concession to the opposition and the call to action. The appeals to reason will be the bulk of your essay, the body of your essay. And in your appeals to reason, you will be using logic to explain your perspective. The topic of this paper, as you remember, is a change you want to see Creighton Prep make. So here's where you're going to make your case for why Prep should make your desired change. And to help us speak in the same language as you make that change, explain this in terms of the grad at grad. So explain how the change you want Prep to make will enhance our mission of the graduate at graduation. Let's get into some specifics. Okay, so some quick review. Here on the left side of the page, we've got the 5 pillars of the graduate at graduation. That's what I need to employ for the logic of the change I want Creighton Prep to make. To review from the last video, here we've got kind of a coarse image of what PE class could be, and we've got some DOL. You might remember from the first video, the hypothetical I created was the change I'd like to see Creighton Prep make would be to teach DOL across all curricular areas. And I imagined maybe the toughest sell I would have for this would be in the PE department, to teach this in PE class. So let's stick with this hypothetical. As I reflect on the grad at grad, I can see a few areas where I think I could make a case for using DOL even in the PE curriculum. I think we could talk about this showing openness to growth, intellectual competence, and being loving. So there are some areas where I can't really discuss this. And honestly, I'm not too worried about that. I want to be able to talk about my argument in depth rather than hitting every single area of the grad at grad. So, for example, let's talk about being open to growth. I could say using DOL in the PE classroom would enhance openness to growth. And I could say it would do that because it would push teachers to grow in areas where maybe they haven't been teaching in a while. It would be pushing students to become more intellectually engaged, perhaps, while they're in PE class. So that would push students and teachers to be more open to growth. I could also say that using DOL across the curriculum would promote intellectual competence. And I could say that, of course, expanding the academic side of the PE curriculum would promote intellectual competence, and that pushing students to be more articulate while they're playing sports would enhance their thinking skills and their communication skills. So I could show how using DOL in the PE curriculum would enhance intellectual competence. And then probably the easiest one would be to show how this would enhance the loving element of the graduate at graduation. When I look across a classroom of young men while I'm talking about grammar, I'm feeling the love, you guys. I see the warm glow. I know how happy you are when you talk about grammar. What a shame to only allow you to do that in English class. Why not be able to do it in every area of the curriculum? Oh, it would be an embarrassment of riches. So those would be elements of the graduate at graduation I could use to talk about why Prep should make this change. Those would be my appeals to reason. One quick caution: openness to growth. It'll be a handy one. You know, any change will require openness to growth. Kind of the downside of that is probably everybody can use it. So if you're gunning for an A on this essay, make sure you have something more engaging to say than, well, we'll be open to growth with this change because we're going to change. So, you know, push yourself in that area. But in general, that's how it's done. You use the elements of the graduate at graduation to talk about your change. Okay, a final word of caution as you prepare your appeals to reason. One thing you want to do is avoid logical fallacies. We've spent a lot of time in this unit talking about logical fallacies and how to avoid them and how to recognize them. Do not use logical fallacies as you compose your appeals to reason. It'll burn your grade. The other thing you need to do is watch your tone as you compose your appeals to reason. In your concession of the opposition, you should have worked really hard to strike a respectful, empathetic tone. You don't want to blow that in your appeals to reason. So, you can certainly argue your case and argue against the other side, but you do not for a moment want to be disrespectful because you will lose your audience. Okay, guys, those are all the tips I have. Good luck for this next part of the paper. It'll be due in our next class.